Most of you made assumptions about me before I said a single word. You decided if I was worth listening to, if I was credible, not credible, confident, maybe I'm nervous. But you did all of this before I gave you a single word to work with. But why is this important? Every communication class that we've sat in, it's taught us the same thing. Use clear words, be persuasive, use good arguments, as if the entire secret behind good communication is language, and the key to it is more language. But look at those two numbers. On average, today I will speak about 1,800 words. But most people, by the age of 18, have already heard 72 million words. Which means that what I say today is only about 0.0025% of everything that you've ever heard. And according to that percentage, nothing I say today will ever be remembered. I mean, imagine the last time your parents came and lectured you. They came into your room, and they probably said something like, this is the turning point in your life. And then they lectured you for 25 minutes. But you never remember anything, because you know that they'll be back next year to say the same thing over again. Yet some things do survive, right? I mean, why is it that some moments live with people for decades? Why is it that great communicators like Martin Luther King Jr., why have they said things that are remembered nearly 60 years later? Why is it that oftentimes we forget speeches we heard in assemblies? We hear or remember random moments with our parents or our friends. And the more you think about it, it brings you to a more interesting question, a more profound question. Why is it that some moments live with people when words rarely ever do? And the answer, surprisingly, has nothing to do with credibility, influence, your accent, or even your choice of words. Instead, it's something deeply, deeply rooted in both human evolution and even the human brain. You see, Homo sapien fossils can be found dating back to over 300,000 years ago. But research from MIT shows that most of us, and for the human species, language only came into social use about 150,000 years ago. And that leaves us with an even more interesting question. How did we humans, often named social creatures, how did we survive for 150,000 years without language? Most people that I know, and probably most people that we know, can't go 15 minutes without saying something. So 150,000 years is a really long time. Well, it's the same way a mother knows why her child is scared before it even says anything. It's the same way you shake somebody's hand and you get a good or a bad first impression. It's the same way you saw somebody walk on stage and take a selfie and all of you made assumptions. You see, for the vast majority of humans as a species, we communicated entirely without words. We communicated with gestures, facial expressions, proximity, stillness, but most importantly, we communicated with feeling. And that system of communicating through feeling, it never went away. And one of the best examples of it is actually on our phones. When you have to make an important conversation, why do we choose to video call somebody over texting them, right? I mean, if communication was all about getting words across. Texting would almost always work. It's faster, it's quicker, it's more efficient. You don't have to wear a nice suit before you text somebody. But we almost always, almost instinctively, we choose to video call. And that instinct, it's almost 300,000 years old. And it's been trying to tell us something. Here's what we know about the human brain. When something makes you feel emotionally charged, your brain stores it differently than normal information. A part of your brain called the amygdala sends a signal that says, remember this. And it started as a survival instinct, but it's still something that happens in our head every day. It's also the reason that we forget a year worth of lectures, but we remember that one time a parent or a teacher or a friend made us feel seen or heard. Oftentimes, what they said is gone, but the feeling remains. Where it gets even more interesting, though, is when somebody communicates with genuine feeling, the people around him, they don't just observe it, they catch it. And this is something that scientists call emotional contagion. There are cells in your brain that not only fire when you feel something, when you see somebody else feel it. It's the reason for emotions like sympathy or empathy. But why is all of this important in the first place? Why is it even relevant? Well, it all indicates one common pattern. We have spent our entire lives mastering what nobody remembers. Because words are not what people remember. Feelings are what people remember. One of the first times I encountered this in my life was almost 7 years ago. I just moved to India. My Hindi and my Malayalam were horrible. I was looking for admission. It was the 5th standard. So me, my mom, and my dad, we go to school after school and we're asking for admission. And school after school, doors kept closing on me because they said my language was too weak. Until eventually, we get in this auto. We didn't have a car at the time. And we take it to this really small town. It's called Tiruvali. And in this town, really small road. It's a dirt road, and it's full of rocks. But eventually, we go down this time, and you get to this, essentially the middle of nowhere. But on the right side, there's a school. It's not too big, I think, maybe one building, 200 students, nothing compared to the campus I'm standing on. But we go inside, and I'm sitting with the principal, and I'm nervous, as usual. But then he says something. After talking to my parents, he says, I can't tell you the exact words, but he says something along the lines of, you know what, it's fine. Who knows how far he'll go one day? I don't know if he remembered saying that an hour later. But I remember the way it felt to hear. Because for the first time in that entire process, somebody looked at me, and instead of judging my weaknesses, they gave me an opportunity. That was nearly 7 years ago. And like I said, I don't know the exact words, but the feeling never left. Because words are not what people remember. Feelings are what people remember. And it's not just me. August 28th, 1963. 250,000 people gathered to listen to one of the greatest speakers in history, Martin Luther King Jr. Now here's what people don't tell you, so listen carefully, okay? That day, King Jr. came onto the stage with a well-written, well-prepared, and well-worded speech, and it was called Normalcy Never Again. So how did we get this whole I have a dream thing? Well, for the first half of his speech, everything goes as planned. Martin Luther King Jr. is at his podium, he's giving it, everybody's cheering. But then something completely unexpected happens. Somebody standing behind King Jr., somebody that knew him personally, a gospel singer, she shouts to him, "Tell them about the dream, Martin." This is what said happened. He's holding his script, he's giving a speech, and at that moment, he pauses. He takes the script that's in his hand, and he moves it to the side. And in that moment, both the dream and the speech that we remember and know today was born. There are few people in this world that remember his arguments, his policies, the parts of his scripted speech. But his unscripted speech is in almost every classroom across the entire globe. I have a dream is 4 words, 4, a child's sentence delivered from a script. It would have never had the effect that it did. But people don't remember Martin Luther King Jr. for his words. They remember him for the feeling he left behind, because words are not what people remember. Feelings are what people remember. I want all of you to do me a favor. I know you've had to listen to me for almost 12 minutes now. Can all of us close our eyes, please? Let's close our eyes. Imagine somebody that really, really impacted you in your life. Not somebody who gave the best advice, not somebody with the most eloquent words, somebody that really, really made a difference. A teacher, a parent, a friend. I'm willing to bet they didn't do it with a speech. They probably did it with a moment. A decision to stay and be there for you when they could have left. A look that said, "I care for you." All of you can open your eyes now. Every moment just like that one has been trying to tell us something. We've just never taken the time to listen. Ladies and gentlemen, great communicators aren't the ones that are remembered for the 1,800 words they said. There we go. They're the ones that are remembered for the feeling they left behind, even when those words ran out. A few years from now, none of you will remember the exact words that I've said. But you know what you will remember? You'll probably remember this. Probably remember the selfie. You'll probably remember the silence and the hopefully not very bad jokes. But most importantly, you will remember the way that you're feeling right now. Because feelings are what people remember. Thank you.